It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Sheldon Seidman. We're here in your beautiful home in Teaneck, New Jersey. And Sheldon, you came from
a town called Rydnik in Poland.
And when were you born?
I was born 3.5 months before the World War II. I was born May 14, 1939.
And can you tell us a little bit about your family? You have a picture, an early picture of yourself.
I have many pictures. My daughter, one of my daughters, made a book of more or less of my life, and which introduces the family and stuff like that.
How old are you in this picture?
This picture was probably the last picture I made in Germany before we came to America. That would be 11 years old. 1951, February 1951.
And you have pictures of your grandparents?
Yes, I have pictures of my grandparents. This is my grandparents from my father's side, the Seidmans.
And where did they come from, your grandparents?
They were also born in Rydnik. We were like 3-4 generations living in the same town in Poland.
And here you have Yaakov, Yitzhak ben Nehemiah Shmuel.
That's my father. That's my grandparents, and that's my father. That's his parents. At different times, some were like from Russia made, and some from Poland, and some already in Germany.
And your grandparents, they were very frum.
Yes, they stayed frum. My grandmother was completely, the hair were cut. She was wearing a sheitel all her life.
Were they Hasidische?
Yes, you could say yes, because in that town was a rabbi. He went to Israel, and the name was the Kiryat Sons. And the sons of the Rebbe, he was called the Klosterberger Rebbe. And my uncle Leibish got smicha the same time in 1921.
And this is
a picture in 1949 from my grandmother and my grandfather. And the other page, he shows him with a beard. He passed away in 1949 in Germany. Augsburg, Germany, passed away after the war. Which my brother and me took the body out of Germany in 1987 and took him to Israel, in Kiryat Shaul. We took the body.
So how did your family survive the Shoah? How did they survive the war?
In the Second World War, Poland was split into two. One side, Russia took, and the other side, Germany took. And somehow, with God's help, we didn't go so fast. We went to the Russian side of Poland. And from there, we didn't take the passport. Stalin asked we should take a Russian passport. We didn't know we thought if we take a Russian passport, he'll take us into Russia. He never let us out. We didn't know what's going on with the murders and they're going to be Auschwitz and stuff like that. So we didn't want to take the passport. So, a miracle, the ones who took the passport, he left in Poland, it's their citizens. And the ones who didn't take the passport, my parents and thousands of other people, were taken into Siberia.
And it's a nice, it's a mamish nice.
The ones who who stayed. Most of them, 99% were killed.
And when did you go to Siberia? Do you know the date roughly?
1940, we were there.
So you were just a baby.
Yes, I was 3.5 months before when the war broke out, so I was maybe a year and a half or so.
And did you have other siblings?
I had one brother, Moshe, which I could show a picture of him.
It's Ariel Leib.
That's the one who had smicha with the Klosenberger Rebbe. Dann Kirat sons. He had smicha together with the Rebbe.
And they had a jewelry store. Wow.
Yes. A jewelry store. It was like, there was no money. But Baruch Hashem, if not being a jeweler, actually a watchmaker, we would have stopped at that. My uncle and my father were both watchmakers.
And the picture on the top, that's
by his jewelry store in Yaffo. Yaffo was Arab at that time, in 1950. Now it's called Tel Aviv Yaffo, Tel Aviv. We wanted to come to Israel, and he wrote, "Do not come. Do not come." He was living in a tent.
It was very difficult in the early years.
Yes, no, but he was living in a tent, and his brother-in-law was the richest man, one of the richest men in Israel. His brother-in-law. His name was Moshe Goldman. Oberger, clothing stores. He came from Germany, but he didn't help. Zero. He let him sleep or whatever. Him and his wife.
So sad.
And Baruch Hashem, I mean, he passed away in 1956, Leibich, at 52.
So young.
Yes. And they had no kids. That's part of the family. Most of them who were religious, and the picture stayed religious.
And where is the picture taken?
In Israel. It's all these
This
people.
is after the war.
This is all in Tel Aviv or Bnei Brak or maybe even in Yaffo.
And was this after the war, this
Yes,
picture?
all after the war. There's only one picture or two pictures that I have here who is before the war.
So you taken to Siberia. What do you know what happened to you? Do you know which town you went to in Siberia?
No. I can only say one thing. Leibish, my uncle Leibish, what was he? Yes, a person who had a jewelry store, a watchmaker, and a gentle, very gentle person. His job was to cut down trees. What did he understand about cutting down trees? A person who sat always learned, or he was a watchmaker, so when he cut a tree, he didn't know which way to run, so he ran the wrong way, and the tree fell down and broke all his ribs. And when the Shemayim survived, he survived. And from there, after about approximately a year, Russia sent out to different parts of Russia. At that time, it was Kazakhstan. So we landed up in Kazakhstan in the town called Jambul. And there, my father had everybody had to work. So my uncle had a little place, and my father had a little place, and they had to work Shabbos. So both of them spent all day, they had to, otherwise hell would have broke out. So they were sitting with their hands down like this and moving the fingers, there was nothing in their hands. So Shabbos went through make believe that they worked, and they didn't work. And they stayed religious. The starvation was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What is your earliest memories? Do you have any memories from being in Kazakhstan?
Oh yes, definitely. My mother worked for a bakery. And it's not like in Israel or whatever. She, like in the old, if you ever watch these movies where you have a china stick over your neck in pails of water, left side, right side. She had to go to the well. It was 2 blocks away, maybe a tenth of a mile or a kilometer and a half. I don't know. Can't be a kilometer and a half. A tenth of a kilometer maybe. One way to take 2 buckets filled up by the well, the buckets, and she walked back with the water. She had to bring 40 buckets of water to the bakery every day. And for that she got litlushka, it's like 2 pita breads for that. That was the pay. And who got one probably? I probably got one, my brother probably got one, and she probably didn't get nothing. But it's things from my mother that's really only God could do that. She did wonderful, wonderful things. Even in Russia where we starved, there was somebody by the table eating the soup. The soup is not like in America or Israel. Baruch Hashem, maybe in Israel in the end of 40s, beginning of 50s or whatever, maybe it was a soup like this too, almost with nothing in there. But at least it was hot water, whatever was in the soup, something. But the big thing is, with what did my mother heat the food? That's a miracle. It's going to sound like unbelievable. My mother used to walk around with a bag without rubber gloves, like in America. If you wash a dish or whatever, you put a rubber gloves. And used to pick up cow dung. Plain English, it's
yeah.
Used to put it in the bag. At night she used to come home. She used to we had a fence outside, like from bricks, maybe, 12 inch, 8 inch wide. She used to flatten it, leave it on the fence to dry up. And with that, we heated the food in the morning. I know I'm sitting here now, Baruch Hashem, in a house that probably in Russia, I would have a couple of 100 people living. And have bathrooms and children and grandchildren. I'm using the word Baruch Hashem that it wasn't imaginable. And with that we heated, and we met people and said, oh, your mother and father saved my father's life. My wife was there and heard it. And you're not going to believe it's maybe 30 years later. They live in Canada. The parents passed away, but the son lives in Canada, and he always calls us. He lives in Florida, we're in Florida, and we're staying friends. There's more about my mother. I could tell stories that she saved herself through doing good to people. They came once to my mother, and they said, because we lived in the same room, my parents, my brother, me, my grandfather and grandmother, and my uncle Leibish and Golda Seidman.
All in the same room?
Yes, a room probably half the size of this room that we're sitting here, in a hallway maybe 4 feet wide, the hallway where the door is. It was like 2 rooms, but not the whole, but it's very, very small. So they said, are you Golda Seidman? So my mother asked, why? You didn't go to work. Because my mother, Baruch Hashem, had 2 children. My brother was 4 years older than me.
What was your brother's name?
Moshe, Maris.
Is he still alive?
No, he's gone already 20 years. And they asked, are you Golda Seidman? I'm repeating it. And she didn't say, no, I'm not Golda Seidman. My mother was Sheldon Seidman. She didn't go to work, Golda. My mother was working in like in a cave, removing hair from cow skins for 9 months. That's only one thing. She didn't say she's not Golda Seidman. And Golda had no kids. My mother had 2 kids. And she went to... There's plenty of stories like this I could talk about my father and my mother, that even when we were starving, somehow, Baruch Hashem, we did it. Maybe they helped and God helped.
And how long were you there? A few years?
In Russia itself, Kazakhstan, we were there 5 years.
So, Sheldon, can I ask, what is your earliest memories? What do you remember, one of the first memories that you have?
Well, by talking, hearing people, if I would go through life, how it was, I remember quite a bit. And if you tell the story, comparison to Auschwitz, we were on vacation, because Auschwitz was so much worse, concentration camps, and it was so much worse than Russia. But what I remember, I had typhoid. It's called typhus in English, Russian or Polish, whatever. And I almost died from it in Russia. My aunt, Rivella, had a worse case, like typhus also. That's all from drinking dirty water. If I tell you the water is all well, or there was like a mountain, but a mountain was a little ditch, there was always water there. But when you drank the water, sometimes it's hard to explain. People were doing things around the water, that what it's supposed to be done in the bathroom. So you drank it here, but you had food you didn't have, so you drank a little water here, but it was definitely not sanitary. It's not. In America, you wouldn't drink it if you pay money. People would pay you money. That's it. And same thing with a bathroom where my father was working. I remember in the back, there was no such thing as a toilet paper or anything. It's a rock or a leaf, things that hard to explain and hard to imagine.
Do you remember being very hungry?
Extremely. I still till now, I can't when the challah I wash, and I cut away the challah sometimes, I leave a piece of challah. I just can't throw it away. So I take a bag, I used to take a bag, and after 2-3 days it got hot, I made it a little wet, and I see birds or cats or what, and I put it on the side, they should eat it. I just can't throw it away.
And Sheldon, did your parents manage to keep Shabbat or the Chagim?
Yes. As much as they could, because a bris, if they would catch you in the shul or whatever, everything was done quiet, because once in Russia, a brother would tell on his brother, a father would tell on his son, or vice versa. Not all. I want to make sure that nobody knew who not to tell. He might tell on me. But Baruch Hashem, nobody told. And we're here in America, Baruch Hashem, and I have now, Baruch Hashem, a grandson and a married grandson sitting in Yerushalayim learning.
In which yeshiva?
YU for Smicha program. And it's a miracle that both my wife and me got married, that we have her children and grandchildren and Baruch Hashem, great-grandchildren.
Baruch Hashem.
The Eibishter didn't want me as now to live in Israel. We tried, and the circumstance in life didn't let it happen.
But you're doing wonderful work, wonderful, and your grandchildren are there, and your grandchildren are even
Yes.
helping with the army.
Yes, yes. Baruch Hashem, listen, I wish we could do more, and I believe Am Yisrael Chai forever and ever, and our enemies, I don't want to say they not succeed, they shouldn't have been born.
Sheldon, can I
Am Yisrael
ask you?
Chai.
Can I ask you? Do you remember when the war ended?
Yes, I remember even better. The war ended not as much as when Israel became a country.
But what do you remember about the war ending? When
We were too deep in Russia. I just remember in Kazakhstan, trucks and trucks and trucks, hundreds of trucks and jeeps with on the door the American star. Everything came from America. The only thing you remember is starvation. And in Kabul they had, you could not board a paper. More or less they had a big sheet of paper. It was glued on the wall. And everybody read the news. It wasn't a time that everybody had a radio, a television, a phone. There was no such thing.
Did your parents teach? Did you learn any? Did they teach you anything? How to read or write or learn from?
Yes, they had a melamed, a teacher. They used to come to the house.
This is in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
And was there a shul? Did you have a Beit Knesset?
No such thing as that. Openly, no. Openly, nothing.
Did you
Everything
manage to have a
had to be-
minyan? Was there a minyan?
Of course. The ones who stayed religious, was a minyan.
Do you remember going to the minyan?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Because when I left, I was only 6 years old, 7 years old. I know the starvation, I remember. And here and there was a bris. There was no such thing, not having a child. You couldn't have, the women didn't have children because there was no food, there was no productive or whatever it's called. It was a different
And what did you speak at home? Did you speak Yiddish or?
Yiddish and Russian. The ones who stayed religious spoke Yiddish. The ones who were Jewish, after the war, people spoke Polish. The ones who didn't want to be religious. They spoke Polish, or they were ashamed to be Jewish, or whatever. Not all, I repeat, not all. A certain amount spoke Polish.
Were there any other children your age, Jewish children your age? Or did you play with other children, Goyish children?
Yes, of course, in Kazakhstan. The people in Kazakhstan were not bad people. The people there, just like we were starving, they had a little more, but they were starving too.
And you didn't go to a cheder or a...
No, only in the house. There was no such thing, a cheder, a yeshiva, there was no or a shul, open shul. That means, like you saw yesterday, you walked with me. I went to Rabbi Weiss shul. There was no sign, no nothing. The shul. But over there, it wasn't as big as this, smaller, 10 people, 12 people or whatever, and that's it.
And when you played outside, did you play with other children?
Of course.
And
yes.
some of them were non-Jewish children?
Most of them weren't Jewish.
And you got on well? You never had any, there was no problems? Or
Well, I
anything?
remember fighting, but that's part of life. You fought.
Could you wear a kippah or
It was
a
different.
hat?
It's a different world. I remember even after the war, hardly anybody wore a kippah. A kippah for sure not.
And a cap?
A cap, if yes, a cap. But it was no such thing. Now, Baruch Hashem, I mean, we're living a terminal, a time that's really rough. since I'm in America from 51, that means I'm 73 years in America. I never saw anything like it. The racism, or whatever it's called, the Chais running around in colleges. I don't even want to use the name, just the Chais that should cover who I'm talking about, the animals.
So when the war finished, did you know that the war had finished?
I knew, I heard, but not till I came to Germany, Poland. And
How did your parents leave? How did you manage to leave?
they Poland made a deal with Russia that the Polish citizens should be let out. So in 1946, they were taken out. By train, we left, I think 4 weeks we were going day and night.
Do you remember the train drive?
100%, that I remember 100%. I remember even, because every so often the train stopped and you went to you went off the train, and whatever you had to do to go to the bathroom, the fields. So one train, I remember like now, a woman coming over and saying to the people, I'm an old person, but I gotta show you something. To the Jews, the train, it wasn't a train like 20 cars, it was maybe 100 cars, I don't know exactly. And the woman took us to a mountain, not something that, like a little hill. And she said she was there where people were shot and thrown into the grave and covered up, and the mountain 2 days or 3 days was going up and down. Or it was gases or whatever, which is somebody's got to know what happened here. And I remember it like now.
And where was that in
middle of the way from Jambul, Kazakhstan, to Poland. We went 4 weeks in the train, so exactly I don't know where.
This could have been in Poland, or?
No, because we landed up after Russia in a town called Stettin. My mother came from a town called Tetchin, but Stettin.
And did you pass the Ukraine?
No, the way we went from Poland, from Russia, right into
Poland.
Yeah.
And did you go back to your town in Poland?
My mother went back to the town. She wanted to know, she couldn't live. My mother was the most wonderful person, but she couldn't live. That how come she survived, and her mother, sisters, nephews, cousins, nobody survived. And why did she? The other one was prettier than her. This one was smarter than her. This one was better than her. Her life was like, she lived, she wanted her family, something. Now, by you saying, did you ever go back? My mother went in a train from Poland to Rybnik and Tichin, where my mother came from. She came off the train, she looked on the floor, because in the little towns there was no thing as cement or whatever. Looked down on the floor, she saw Mercedes. That means Mercedes is headstones. And she looked, the ones who put it down put the Mercedes upwards with the names. As soon as she saw that, she went back on the train and went back.
They were Jewish Mercedes.
Yes.
So they used it for paving?
Not only paving, kitchen counters, all kinds of things. That's unbelievable. I remember being in Berlin, going out of the camp, rein Judenseif. Rein, clear Jewish soap. That was fat soap or whatever it's called from it's hard to say. They melted down the bodies. They made soap and they were selling it.
And you remember it?
Like now.
Where were they selling it?
In the store. There was no such thing after the war, even a piece of soap. But that Rhine, you saw there wasn't, you saw because it was black. It's hard to even explain. It doesn't say, I know, I think the whole war, Second World War, Auschwitz, and all the things, it's unimaginable that people could do this to people. I don't want to say they're even people the ones who did it, but it looks like they were. That's what I could say.
So when the train came from Kazakhstan, where did it end off?
In Stettin. Stettin.
And you remember the town? You remember?
Yes, of course. And you said before a shul there after the war, but there was no sign either. There was already the shuls. You could have gone to the shul, no problem. You weren't afraid.
And how long did you stay?
4 months. We stayed 4 months in Poland.
In the town of
Stettin.
Stettin.
Not Tichin.
Stettin.
Yes.
And was there other survivors that came to the town?
Of course, from the train. The ones who actually survived from Poland mostly landed up in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, in these sections, very little ended up like in Moscow or Leningrad, all little, and I think there was only 2 transport of trains who left to come back to Poland.
And where did you stay in Stettin? Did you have a home or a...
A room. You rented whenever you had the money. And my father was a watchmaker.
And did you feel from the Polish citizens there was like a very anti-Jewish feeling?
I remember like now one case I remember clearly where it was a market, let's say, I don't know, this is going to be in English and meters, I don't know, maybe wide, 100 feet by 200 feet, a market with people selling this, that, whatever, and the other side was a field. And I heard when I was in the market, oi, 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 or whatever, and I ran over on the other side. People were scared, don't go, don't. And I saw a person get whipped with a long whip. If I would have been there at this age, it's different. If I would have been not 7 years old, I would have had a knife. I would have ran over and I would have, you have nothing. How do you fight? You're 7 years old. I'm just saying, I saw it myself. And even after the war, you saw on the streets, walking people bandaged up. Jews were beaten up after the war.
By the Poles?
Of course. And it was pogroms. People thought they'd come back to take their homes away. It's something that unimaginable.
And do you know what happened to your Emma's family, to your mother's family?
Yes, I have even my letter. I don't know where it is, which one. And it tells you someplace, you have Hebrew, and you have Uncle Leibish, and it gives you a whole thing that tells you from, they were in a town called Stettin. Tetchin. They were taken from Tetchin to a town called Reiche, if you heard of it. In Reiche, they were taken out to a camp or to a field. When or what exactly it doesn't tell you, but in that letter, it tells you the last time from that family, they landed up in the fields, and that was dead. They were killed.
Oh, they were killed.
And I went about 8 years ago.
Can I ask you a favor, Sean?
Yes.
Could you read this letter?
I don't know which one it is. There's
But even to read it.
no, there's some. No, there's some.
So
I
we'll go
have
into
my daughter made birth certificates. She had my father's birth certificate, my mother's birth certificate, pictures from the Ksuba. My birth certificate. My father. She made me a whole.
That's incredible.
She.
This
Here's
is
one of my first pictures in Berlin. My mother, the only time I went to a camp for 1 week was in Berlin.
a sleepaway camp. That was in the DP. And can I ask, how did you manage to get to Germany from Poland, from Szczecin?
We paid, my father paid a smuggler. I remember that part too. A Jewish smuggler. I know what you call them, but we paid for it. It was like, I remember we were crossing the border. He said it was a truck with like a canvas on top. And the belongings, what did we have? Nothing with nothing, you know. Maybe a silver lachta, a candlestick for my, or something, a pillow, this and that. And the smuggler said, we're getting close. He went by on the front of the truck with a driver. He took a gun out. I remember like that with a silver color, like steel. And he says, nobody say a word. He says, if you let this through, he probably paid off the Russian guard. Otherwise, I'll have to shoot him. No, there was no aid, shoot. But he let us through. That's what I remember like now, learned it out in Tempelhof, Berlin, till 1948, till the blockade.
How come your parents decided to go to, it must have been difficult to go to Germany.
We paid, yeah, of course.
But to go to Germany, they couldn't have gone to another DP camp in Austria or?
No, they took us there. They took us there. The next thing is Germany.
And you had to get out of Poland. You felt you had to leave Poland.
Listen, you had to get out of Germany too. We couldn't get out of Germany. It took us 5 years with protection, with people sending us, that's in here too, a letter who sent us papers that we should come to America. They'll support us if we shouldn't fall on the government. We came to America to see that person, what he did for a living. He was my mother's cousin. Unbelievable. Baruch Hashem, he did it. He was a floor boy. When somebody cut material and the material fell on the floor, he was the one who picked up I'm saying miracles.
Oh, what was his name? Do you remember?
Yeah, Kalta. No, Sonnenblick. Beryl Sonnenblick.
And in the DP camp, you stayed there for quite a while.
Yes.
It was near Berlin or in Berlin?
In Berlin, yeah.
And could you go out of the DP camp or?
Yeah, there was barbed wire around it in its entrance.
And did you ever go into the city, into Berlin itself?
All the Jews who survived went into the city. Because there was nothing. Otherwise you would have nothing either. Everybody was gehandelt, you know, you were how do you call it? You're buying something and selling it or whatever it's called.
And were there
trading.
And did you manage to go to a school or to?
Okay, there already they had something.
Is it part of the DP camp or in Berlin itself?
No. In the part of the camp, there was still going on things that people getting beaten up, but not as much as in Poland. Not as much as in Poland.
And who ran the DP camp? Who was in charge of the DP camp?
The American Army. The most proudest moment in the deep cave was in 1948, when Israel became a country, and they pulled up the flag, and they didn't know at that time, I remember like now, is it half blue, half white, a Jewish star? Nobody knew exactly how the
flag was going to be.
Oh yeah, but I don't remember just two lines in a Jewish star. It was different. But I remember I must have been 7 years old or 8 years old. But no, actually 9 years old, 49.
But do you remember 47 when they had the vote at the United Nations?
No,
47?
I could only remember that there was no radio, there was no television, there was nothing. I mean, we got to understand that there was no such thing. I know going to Israel, and I went to vacation with my wife from Switzerland, and we called home to America, and I wanted to talk to my kids, and I paid $147 for 15 minutes.
In those days?
Yeah. Yes. Now I have a phone on me. It cost me 3 cents to call Israel. I'm just saying it's. I wish there would have been more recordings. There wasn't. So
and you remember when they declared the state, when Ben Gurion declared?
it was the proudest moment. I mean, you cannot believe it. There was no such thing as not loving a Jew. There was no such thing. A guy, zero religious, a guy with a beard, but there wasn't many people with a big beard. It was after the war and whatever. It was Achtes, the love for fellow Jew was unbelievable.
The unity. Yeah.
Yes, I believe that Israel has the same unity now, except a little bit disagreement with the premier.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think the love is there. Quietly, but it's there.
Yeah. And going back to the DP camp, the school that you went to, did they teach you Hebrew? Did they teach you Torah studies?
A little Torah studies. And German.
And you stayed there a long time. You stayed there...
From 1946 till 48, till the blockade. Germany was blockaded from the Russians to Berlin. So we were taken out from Berlin to Munich, München, by plane.
You went by plane?
Yes.
Were you on the side that was on the Russian side of Berlin?
No, we were in the middle.
In the middle.
Russia made a blockade.
They surrounded Berlin.
That's it.
And then they took, and you were allowed to, you left by plane.
What do you mean allowed to? The American government, the army took us out.
Wow.
And, there's things that, it's things you're not going to put on film, things that's unbelievable. These people who were on the plane, these people understand, they never saw a truck, most of these little towns.
Until they're on an airplane.
Before the war, they never saw a truck. It was little towns verstippt. It's unbelievable. And all of a sudden they're on a plane. I remember like now, a woman, everybody was throwing up, and it was terrible because the body wasn't used to all these things. So they gave out containers. The American, the people should throw up. It was terrible, terrible. It wasn't a passenger plane like now, El Ala or whatever. It was a troop carrier on one side benches and the other side benches, and the American soldier, and people were going, and throwing up. They didn't understand. The American guys didn't talk anything except English. So instead of throwing up a thing, they throw up on the floor. But Baruch Hashem, I came to Berlin into another camp.
To Munich. From Berlin to Munich.
Yes, but not the camp from Munich. From Munich, they went to Augsburg. They drove no more flying. And from Augsburg to a camp called Lechfeld. It was a DP camp, used to be an airfield, a Nazi airfield, army base. A lot of buildings were bombed out, but we stood the buildings that were okay to live.
And how long did you stay there?
From 48 till February 1951, I landed in America. So I left 11 days before that. 51, February 19, so February 8, I must have left.
And did your family ever think of coming to Israel? Because there was already...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mentioned before
that
my uncle wrote...
He said it's very difficult.
That difficult. We bought already a Primus. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. For camping, you pumped it up with... We bought already, we're going. He said, under no circumstance. He said, I have no children. He said, well, there's a letter here. And because my daughter had it, she didn't give it to me. She had the letters translated by Jewish, they translated it from Jewish, from Polish to English, from Russian to English, from Jewish to English, she had a translator. So there's a letter there saying, under no circumstance you come.
Because it was so difficult. There was austerity. There was food rationing.
I could say, I know it's something. Maybe everybody would have done this. Maybe everybody did it. But I could only tell you, my father, his first job, whatever, was an S. Klein department store as a watchmaker on Broadway and 14th Street. Now there's a Zuckerberg building a medical center there. He got $50 a week. From the $50 a week, 51, he sent every week a package to his mother, a care package, and never second week to his brother and sister. So $20 a week went to Israel. But there wasn't 5 cents in my house after that. After they paid the rent, but Baruch Hashem, look where I'm sitting now.
Wow. And Sheldon, can I ask, do you remember landing in America?
Oh yeah.
Where did you first came?
You're not going to believe it in a million years.
Did you come to Ellis Island?
No, because we came already later, 51, till 49 it was, Ellis Island. But we were the rich jeweler that came to America. My father didn't stand no monkey business. They asked him, what do you do? A watchmaker. A jeweler? They unloaded the whole ship till they got to us at the end. Then they opened us up there, we had nothing. It's a miracle. We came by ship, General S.T. Sturgis, the ship. And we came to Hayas. And Baruch Hashem, what we give away to tzedakah now, without bragging, God forbid, I mean, if we would have had 10%, I want to say 1%, 2% wouldn't have come to America, would have given away a year. That's not big money, because we had nothing. We had $276, but that's it. We needed $500 to get our apartment. So we were four months in Hayas. Baruch Hashem.
And you were in New York, living in New York?
Yeah, on Lafayette Street, in 8th Street. Lafayette, and East 8th Street, New York City.
And your parents always remained with the Emunah, they remained from?
100%. 100%. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. As a matter of fact, one of my nephews now lives in, I forgot now. He moved to Israel about 6 years ago. and he just bought a house.
Baruch Hashem, wow, wonderful.
And my son-in-law's niece, 19, just sent me a picture. Oh, I shut the phone. I'll show it to you. She got the card. She made Aliyah. She's 19.
Wow.
And Baruch Hashem, that's it.
So Sheldon, if I can ask you, what message do you give your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and future generations?
I believe, Baruch Hashem, we went through hell many, many times. Different religions, hundreds of them, perished or dissolved or whatever.
And people, different nations.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And now we're about 3,500 years later. We're still here. And Am Yisrael Chai, Gesinnt, Naches, Parnusse, for the children and for Am Yisrael.
It's wonderful. But I just want to thank you that there is such nisim that your parents decided to go east, and they didn't stay in the town.
I'll tell you, originally my father and they said that the Germans, anybody 16 to 30 should leave, because the first thing if they come into the town, they kill those people from 16 to 30. So everywhere was screaming, Yankel, my father was there with Yankel, leave, because you heard from 16 to 30 they kill. So I'm bringing this up since you asked me how. This side, he went with a friend of his and left the town. They, whatever, he had a pound of bread, a kilo of bread, whatever it was, and they left. There were a fiaker, was a guy who drove the wagon with horses, and he was on that wagon with a Rebbe, a town's Rebbe. I cannot remember the name of the Rebbe. All of a sudden, while they're driving, a plane comes and starts shooting, and people start falling on the floor. The guy, the fiaker, the Rebbe said to the driver, go off the road. The Rebbe put on Talzin Twill, and he says to my father, Yankele, to my father, like Yankele, Gaya heim, go home, to dein Weib and Kinder, to your wife and children. And he went back. What happened to the Rebbe and everybody else, I don't know. Then it came a time to go back.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, but that's part of the life.
Children, and children, you're getting such nachas from your children and grandchildren.
Baruch Hashem, you want a bathroom here?
I want to thank you. What I want to do is, no. I just want to thank you so much. Sheldon, for me, I cannot thank you enough. First of all, for meeting you on Shabbos. You were sitting in the porch outside, and
yes.
It's min hashamayim that you would be the time that I was walking. And to hear your story, it is something unbelievable. I'm so incredibly grateful to you.
I am happy to able to repeat. I wish I wouldn't have happened.
I know.
But that's the way it is.
Can we look through a few more of the pictures?
Yes, if you want to. No, both ways.
I'll just want to take this
Okay,
from...
whoa. This is where I was born, right here. It's a bank now.
So we're going to just show...
Oh, here's my... wait, if you want to. This is my aunt, Rivella Zimmerman, who lived in Netanya, just passed away a couple of years ago. She's showing the window where I was born. This is the window, and now it's a bank.
Have you ever gone back?
Yes, I went back now. It's 8 years ago or so.
Was it difficult to go back?
It wasn't difficult, but they deny everything.
So
These are all of them
you
died.
have such amazing. So these are. Oh, we have to show these pictures. This is, if you could.
This is my uncle, well, that before was like Leibisch. That's the same one that with the Klosberger Rebbe, the Smicha. And here, this is my aunt Golda. No, Rivella. And this is my brother Moshe. She was born 1922. So she would have been 102 now. And this is the husband. He just died at 103 in Netanya. Official. That's his wife, of course. And this in 1966, when I took my first trip to Israel. And over here you could see the family, with beards still, Baruch Hashem, as you could see.
All from?
All, I wouldn't say all.
Okay, but traditional as well.
Oh yeah, of course. My job, no, but 99%, I wouldn't say 95% religious. Oh, this picture is the only picture for my grandfather. And this is my grandmother. I took two pictures, put them together, and made color out of them.
So this is Beryl.
No, Beryl is by Kalta.
Peril, Peril.
No, Pearl, my mother.
Yeah.
My mother's name is Pearl. Pearl Sonneblis Kalta. Sonneblick. Ishaya Kalta, my grandfather. My mother. If you look at the pictures, look at the difference. How she looks in Russia. This is my mother when we came to America.
And can I ask, how did this picture survive?
This picture, we had a family in America.
And they sent the pictures to America?
No, when it came to America, we got it.
But they sent it from Poland to America before?
Of course, yes.
And that's
actually,
is this the only picture of the grandparents?
This is from a family picture. I took her out. My mother, the sisters, one picture, and two brothers. And I took this picture out, and this was his only picture, and
You put it together.
Put it together, made color, and
it's amazing.
And there's the picture. See this picture in black and white?
Yeah.
This is her.
That's the same picture. Wow.
This was my mother. Oh. Here's a story. Since this one, my mother couldn't live. Why this one got killed? Because she wasn't married yet. She was reading and writing English, Hebrew, Jewish,
Yiddish.
Yeah, of course, 7 languages. In 1939, you know what you're talking? It's like one person couldn't read his own language. She was writing and reading 7 languages. I have a letter here.
Do you know where she was killed? Is anybody?
Of course, she was in Reiche. All of them. All of them. This whole picture. Okay, here's an uncle of mine and another uncle. Another uncle.
And they were all...
This one died in 1920 from typhus. Okay. The only one of my mother's family survived was her.
From the whole family?
In America. Because she came to 1920 to America. But after she came, 6 months later she died. My mother. Okay. A brother, I took the picture from my mother and some of the sisters.
But none of the sisters survived. It's so sad. It's such a tragedy.
Okay. Here is the translations. Where is this one? Letter. Oh yeah, here. You get this letter continued on the following 2 pages was written by Bobby's youngest sister, Libby. That's the one, in English.
And this was done in Poland, when she was in Poland?
Yes. It gives you the date.
1932.
Yeah, you could read it. Letter Libby, see, look.
And she sent this to America?
Yeah, in 1932.
That's amazing. Where did she learn to speak?
Speak and write in
Right.
little towns. I was in the town. The 3 pages. This letter written in German by Babis, Maria's babies. Oh, now this one is in German.
She writes in German.
The other one is English, this one is German. The whole letter tells you. My daughter went out to, I didn't hear about these kind of things in those times.
It's incredible. It's mamish incredible. And here's a...
We just look at this. Where's the Hakenkreuz? Yeah.
That's the swastika.
Yeah. This is 1940 from Tichin. Look at this picture. Everybody, nobody survived. Look at this picture.
Oh, you know it's
That's a brother and my mother, my uncle, through marriage. That's one of my mother's sisters. She had 4 sons then.
And this letter,
Tichin, 1938.
as a postcard, wrote on front vertically, the sister wrote on the back. The Nazi stamp, it was with the Nazi stamp.
Yeah, of course.
And this is from the city of Tichin in 1940.
40.
And you wish a new year of happiness and health. Receive our warmest regards and kisses. May kisses of the beloved children. We wish them to be healthy and love to the family. And that is already when the Germans had invaded Poland.
Yeah.
So it was with the,
Yes.
you have a German symbol, the swastika.
Yes. And none of them survived. All in Aisha. There's more. All postcards.
Here's with the German stamp of the other letters.
Of course. Yeah, of course, 100%. It's funny that we, my father was writing to the brother-in-law. Oh, here's the chain, 1946, after the war, all letters. There's the house, where you'll see the house pretty soon there. There's the house. Okay. This is a picture of Tichin, my grandmother's house. Right here. You see? This is a picture of my grandmother's house. Now it's one of the biggest houses with the width in Tichin. It's now the post office in Tichin.
And was their house?
Yes. My mother said like that, it was built she was 16 years old, and it was built in 1902. No, my mother was born 1902. She was 16 years old. She remembers helping bring the bricks.
It's amazing. Sure.
Yeah. It's old. This one is from
Letter from-
Malias. Oh yeah, that's the uncle.
This was in 1939.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. My father was writing from Russia to them in Tichin. People owed him money. He should go to try to collect some money because we're starving. We didn't know that they're in worse condition. They were worse condition than us.
Matches,
Even we were in Russia Nobody was killing us, but we were starving to death. But they were starving to death and people were killing them. But we didn't know.
And look at all these letters.
1929, guy Schwartz, uncle from Middle.
This
In
way.
1929, my father, he was exempt, was born in 1908. The papers, we had the original papers, exempt from the army. Travel identity card, Schwartz, 1926.
It's amazing. It's incredible that you have these documents. It's incredible.
My mother and my wife, and my daughter, Julie. Oh, this is the picture you saw before.
Yeah.
Okay, this is this. All kinds of certificates, Polish thing. Jacob Schwartz, Seidman was entered into the country. Oh, this is a birth certificate. My father's birth certificate, 1908, from Polish. My mother's ksuba, my father and mother's ksuba.
Wow, this is amazing.
My father's and mother's ksuba. Listen, this is what you got. Oh, the certificate of marriage.
They had to have it.
Here, 1933, my father and mother.
Wow, so you have it. And that was in Polish and Hebrew.
No, Polish.
Polish, yeah, but
No,
because...
yes, of course. No, ksuba, yeah. Ksuba, that's separately.
Do you know who the Rov is who married your parents?
Probably the
Because
names
they-
here.
will be here.
What is this? Letter from the Chin City Hall informing Jacob Seidman that Shia and Pearl Kelter were, oh, here is it, this is it, relocated by Germans to, that's ghetto, the Reiche ghetto, but it doesn't say Reiche, R-Z-E-S-Z-O-W, ghetto, and from that time there is no information about them. This is it. And this is the 46. Their assets, residential house, and 4 acres of land is under the management of, we didn't get a penny.
It was the Polish. Took it in.
What is this? Babi Maria's request of Tichin for court citing evidence that, oh, this is for the property that we have.
But you never got a compensation or...
Not a penny. See, one thing my father was meticulous, he kept everything. Babi Maria's birth certificate. My mother was 6 years older, born in 1902.
She was older than your father?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is your Zeda's?
No, birth certificate, my father's birth certificate.
And this is when you went... Do you remember going to the day camp?
It wasn't day camp, it was sleepover.
Sleepover, you remember?
That was the only time in my life.
And you made friends?
Yeah, the ones, the only survivors who were, I looked already good. This was already, I was 10 years old, I must have been this tall.
And from the DP camps, do you have friends today or?
A lot of them passed away. A lot of them. Oh, here's the whole family.
And your brother?
There's my brother. I have pictures in the army, in the American army.
This is
my family.
Wonderful.
My brother, me, and my parents. this will tell me. Wait. Yeah. Here. Watchmaker. The company bought me to America. A J.C. Kruger Company, 70 Main Street, Hempstead, New York.
So they sponsored.
Never saw them.
You never saw them.
They would never let us in. They would never let us in. This is the picture when we came to America. This was it. February 1951. That's a souvenir my daughter put in that I gave her from actually my father. He said my father passed away in 1973. The family moved to, she gave me the whole movement step by step where I lived. I came to America. After 4 months and $100 bribe, the family moved to a third floor apartment, second floor apartment at 391 Skank Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Apartment had a leaky ski light. I'll never forget it. It was raining in. Don't ask. Letter from Vetter Leibisch. He's the one that had Smichel, the Klosenberger Rebbe. But I feel so bad. My father wrote a letter to his brother every week. And every week, my father wrote back. If you would have seen the love of these two brothers, you can't believe it.
Wow.
I will tell you, my father saved Uncle Leibisch's life. But when we got to Russia, and his brother wasn't there, he sent a smuggler. How do you call it?
A smuggler?
Yeah, but he didn't smuggle gold. People. He paid the guy, he says, in this town, my brother and his wife lives. Go, bring them, or find them. He came back maybe 2 weeks later, and he says, I can't find them. And my father gave him money again and says, please, go try to find them. A week, 2 weeks later, he brought the brother. That's the one that my mother was sitting in jail for 9 months, the wife. You Golda Seidman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. When they asked, are you working? They said, are you working? And
No, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
If my mother died, I didn't go to work. She didn't say.
These are all these letters. It's
Yes.
incredible that you have
But
them.
anyway, I'm sorry. When my uncle died, my father couldn't look at a letter. He was like, they were there 5 years. 5 years. No. 56, 8 years. So we had letters, there's a very thin paper, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that four-way
Yes,
folded.
yes, yeah.
I should have kept them and write a book only from that. All these letters.
All these letters, it's incredible.
But that's nothing, brother. You see the handwriting. Beautiful.
And in Hebrew.
Oh, what? Okay. That's my brother and me.
How old are you at this time?
I was probably 11 or 12, and my brother was 4 years older.
And when you came to America, when you went to school, was it a public school or a Jewish school?
Yeshiva.
A yeshiva? You went to yeshiva?
Yeah.
In Brooklyn?
Yes, and I got to say the rabbi.
Who was the Rav?
Rabbi Schmidman. It's unbelievable. No one pays, not a guy, little. It was different times. The rabbis were like now a rebbe, little beard, a little. I could show. I have pictures downstairs in the basement. I can show you who he was.
And what was the name of the yeshiva?
Torres Chaim.
Torres Chaim, sure.
Yeah. He didn't. If you didn't have money, you didn't have to pay a penny.
Sure.
He was no. That's This day and age, if you haven't got money,
Yeah, you're not accepted.
you know why you is charging? It's. I don't understand the Jewish education. They got to do something for the poor people. I don't know for poor people. Even if you're rich, you can't afford to go.
It's exorbitant.
It's. That's when I was younger, a little bit already. Oh,
And you did wrestling
yes, that's.
with the Magen David on?
Oh yeah, and I weightlifting extremely strong. I mean,
You could lift up a table?
with my teeth,
Oy.
and somebody was sitting on top.
Shoo.
So my brother when he was in the army. My brother, yeah.
And you were close with your brother? Yeah.
And we were partners for 25, 30 years.
Shoo.
And the kids come very, very, very.
And this is...
My father and mother
Your
in
mother.
America. Oh, he is, my father had a Yutzat paper. It gives you the date from his, whoever passed away. This one died in this died in 1949, and this one died in 1929, this one died in 35. He was keeping Yutzat for everybody.
For everyone.
This was the address in Rudnik, where Rudnik, Natsanen. Yeah. My uncle Leibish, the one who sent me to me.
And he sent you the Siddur.
Yeah. I have it right here.
Shoo.
It says a letter from the sister-in-law, the one that told her. This is where the American pictures.
Shoo, this is...
Oh, my father's jewelry store. My oldest son, who's right now 56, can I know her? This one,
Okay.
my father, and this is the daughter who made this book.
And where was the jewelry store?
Two. One jewelry store was in East New York, but it wasn't a jewelry store that I was in the jewelry line too, and I used to manufacture. You could have bought it by him, by my father, cheaper than Baruch Hashem. Now listen, my brother's wedding.
Wow.
And my oldest nephew is 60 now, can I her? 60 years old.
Shoo.
Oh, our wedding. June 1923. Okay, look at it. Here's my ethos. I was 19 years old. I started Seidman manufacturing rings. In May 7th, 63, I opened the first jewelry store.
Gee.
And this was the manufacturing,
MS.
yes, MS jewelry.
And here's a picture of the...
Yeah.
And where was your wife born?
In Manhattan, Beth Israel Hospital. Baruch Hashem, triplets. My nephews are triplets. One of them, this one, I think, made Aliyah. That's me and my wife.
Oh, this is so wonderful. This is the nachas. This is
Baruch
the...
Hashem, listen. So my mother.
So your parents got nachas from the grandchildren.
Yeah, but they got sick and. Okay. Baruch Hashem.
It's so wonderful. These are the pictures of the mishpacha,
Yeah,
and this is
that's my brother.
your brother and you.
And mother. My father, he passed away, he was young. I mean, in person, yeah. She picked everything out. I didn't know what she did.
It's amazing what she did. Picture of you davening.
Yeah, davening and by Mrs. Brother, I see. Must be Shana Ra.
It's,
Okay.
and now you have it's so special. Sheldon, you have a son who's at the a grandson who's fighting in Gaza, in Gaza.
Yeah, from my daughter's side, yeah.
So Bezrat Hashem, he should just return safely, and we should have shalom. And
And the other one who just left today, you heard one he's gone to Israel? He's a tzollah. Whatever he goes
he's in
for,
Tzollah.
he's an international tzollah. When he goes right into tzollah in Israel.
Well, there are no words to thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
I'm
much.
extremely grateful, and it's Min HaShamayim that I met you, and you should just have Mazel Brocha at Mavis Room.
You too from
And
yours.
if I could ask, could you give a Brocha? It's always good to give a Brocha.
The bracha is, the Eibischer help you should I. Gesinnt nachas a panusa from the whole mishpacha. And of course the Eibischer should be the one who takes care of this.
Thank you
That's
so
not
much.
me. It's definitely it's all with Eibischer. Thank you very much for coming.
There are mamish no words to thank you enough.
My pleasure. Anyway, if you want to see, you know Rab David, Rab Moshe's son. You know him?
I've heard of him, sure.
Then you want to have a drink? I'm sitting the whole time. You didn't go to the bathroom, nothing, and you want to.
It's been wonderful.
Okay.
Sheldon, I'm so grateful to you. Really, at Mavis Room in good health
Amen.
and Mazel and Brocha always.
Amen. All the best.